Warriors! Man, these big dogs are making it easy for content creators. There's so much content right now, Warriors. Man, just remember. I want to remind you, this morning, I was watching the Davos video around cryptocurrencies, around changing the financial system. And out of about 8 billion people, 7 billion people in the world, there was 34 of us watching that. Let that sink in. The long-haired hippie guy with a cut-off shirt watching a Davos video with 34 other people live. 34 people. But we're scrolling through TikTok watching thirst trap videos. I'm going to keep saying it. The WAP video is kicking ass. Woo! Teen Mom. Let's watch Teen Mom. These are all great things that are keeping you distracted. And as you look this way to pandemic, there's a whole other narrative going on this way. My name is Coach JV. I am the top health and mindset coach in the world. What you believe in your heart, you think in your mind, will eventually become your words and become your reality. But Coach JV, there's no ranking that says you're the top health and mindset coach in the world. In my mind, there is. The great I am. When Moses was at the burning bush, he said to him to tell the slaves, who do I tell him sent me? Tell him the great I am sent you. And from that point on in the Bible, God's name was the great I am. And what you put behind the words I am becomes your truth. I am great. I am healthy. I'm wealthy. I'm abundant. Yes, you are. I believe you. Okay, Warriors, what I do is I tell you not to trust a word I say, and I teach you the game so you can't be played. There's no reason to trust a long-haired hippie guy with a hairy back with a tinfoil hat on. You need to make informed decisions. And when you give a man a fish they eat for a day, when you give them a fishing pole, or you teach them how to fish they eat for a lifetime. So what I'm here to do and teach my Warriors is how the game works in my perspective, in my paradigm. It doesn't mean it's right. What this allows you to do is to make informed decisions. So you just don't go to the barbershop or the nail salon and your friend gives you a hot tip off of a Facebook post or an Instagram post or a Twitter post, and you go make a bad financial decision that wrecks your family's life. You make informed, sound decisions off fundamentals that could change your family's generational wealth. Let me repeat that. You make sound, fundamental decisions that could change your family's generational wealth. And I'll tell you what, Warriors, there is nothing like this ever in history going to happen again in our lifetime. The biggest shift in generational wealth is happening in history. Okay, so this is a Davos agenda going on right now. Let's put this in perspective too. So out of 7 billion people in the world, only 2,521 people have watched this since yesterday. Let me repeat that, okay? Out of 7 billion people in the world, only 2,521 people have watched this, okay? I'm a little tiny YouTuber here in Arizona, and I'm getting 6,000 people watching my videos, but this right here is so much more important than my videos or the WAP videos and all that stuff. Well, I guess I'm bringing you the same information. Why are people not watching this? Because it's boring. So I'm going to break it down for you, Warriors. So we're going to listen to Bill Winters for a moment and then Bill Gates talking about zero carbon. You need to understand zero carbon. Don't worry, I'll break it down for you. So I'm a cryptocurrency investor, and so I invest based on where the world's going. I am now invested in the new world's infrastructure, but it's a scary market right now because regulation is coming fast and furious because the banks don't want to be left behind, nor do the central banks, and the people are starting to gain their power, and they know it, and it's coming very fast and furious. So let's watch this video, and I'll break this down as we go along.
Forest burns or the tree is cut down. Tracking leakage, so leakage outside of the project in terms of gradual diminution of the effectiveness, and making sure that these projects are additional. Additional meaning these are projects that wouldn't have happened but for the fact that there was a carbon benefit to the climate. So these are the steps that we've taken. As Annette said, 20 recommendations lumped under 6 key themes. With 200 participants very actively involved. What we're coming out with today, and I hope everybody gets a chance to read it, is a 17-page executive summary, easy read. You can definitely get through that. The 139-page report you've got to put a bit of time into. But the opportunity for all of us is to take this framework that we put out today and to convert that into an implementable action plan this year so that we can start to see the real benefits of scaling up this market immediately. Because without that, we will not get to net neutral, carbon net zero.
Okay, let me pause for just a moment. They're talking about being net zero, carbon neutral by 2050. That means so much for you, your job market, the foods that you eat, the meat and dairy industry, mom and pop organizations, big tech, big companies coming fast, coming furious, and if you don't get on board as a company, you ain't going to get your funding, warriors.
In 2050.
Thank you, Bill. Let me now turn to you, Bill Gates, and you are also the founder of Breakthrough Energy. Bill Winters just mentioned technology, and we know that nature-based solutions are going to be a critical part of the solution to achieving net zero. But what else is needed?
Well, I'd say the good news is that a lot of companies are taking carbon into account as they make decisions. They have, some per ton hurdle price. And they, are going to stay away from investments that, are generating carbon because of that price signal. The big step.
That was a huge signal right there. Listen to what they say. They're going to be moving away from stocks or anything that they invest in that's going to create carbon. Think about what he just said.
The next step there is getting people to monetize those things. And put that money into things that are provably have an impact. And a number of companies now are willing to do that. Now, some of these offsets are very complicated. Trees, for example, have a 40-year lifetime on average. So to match the carbon residency time, you'd have to replant 250 times. And trees generally grow where there's good soil and good water. And so the number of places where you can do those 250 plantings is very, very small. So, over time, the understanding and the quality of these efforts will go up. As I went to do offsets for myself personally, long-term offsets, the prices were about $400 a ton. That's very, very high. And everything we think of here, it's 51 billion tons of emissions. And so everything has to be considered as a percentage of that. For a company that's a electric utility, a steel company, a cement company, any sort of industrial thing, you see the increase in price that they'd have to have is still significant. So innovation is going to be key to this as we do the carbon markets in parallel with funding the innovation activities.
Okay, super important. Where would you invest your money if you know that you're looking at innovation and zero carbon? Where are you going to put your money? He just said it's very expensive. Carbon offsets. What is a carbon offset? So if a company has a high emissions business, they are trying to offset it with carbon offsets. But he just said, hey, you're not going to be able to plant trees. So if you have this much carbon, you should plant this many trees to offset it. Does that make sense? So what they're doing is this is going to force the market pace. So if you're a business owner, you mix cement, you're a steel owner, you have to think about your business. How can you go into zero carbon now, move into zero carbon, and how are you going to do that? How are you going to afford the reporting? This is really, really important. This is a lot of stuff that goes into this, warriors. That's why the big companies, Amazon, Walmart, Costco, they are moving to zero carbon. The companies like ExxonMobil, one of the highest in emissions or carbons, right? The meat and dairy industry is touted for having one of the biggest carbon. Why do you think they're moving us into a vegan agenda, warriors? Genetically modified food or engineered food, excuse me. So what does net zero emission mean? 6 common questions answered. So what does it actually mean, okay? So we will achieve net zero emissions when any remaining human-caused GHG emissions are balanced out by removing GHGs from the atmosphere in a process known as carbon removal. So every time you emit carbon, you have to have an offset to that carbon. First and foremost, humans cause emission, like those from fossil fuels, vehicles, and factories, should be reduced as close to zero as possible. So we need to remove humans. Any remaining GHGs would be balanced with an equivalent amount of carbon removal, for example, by restoring forests through the direct capture of stores. So this stuff is boring, worse. This is the stuff I study. This is how I do my investments. Okay, so I'm looking at companies that are going to be moving us to zero carbon. AI technology companies, gas and electric car companies, okay? So then you got Biden right away. Biden pushes for electric vehicles, could take funding away from infrastructure projects. The federal government operated 645,000 vehicles in 2009, clocking 4.5 billion miles. President Joe Biden wants to replace the government fleet of almost 650,000 vehicles with electric models produced in the United States, simultaneously addressing both climate change and manufacturing agenda. Where would you put your money, warriors? Well, think about that. Okay? Fact sheet. President Biden takes executive action to tackle the climate crisis at home and abroad, create jobs, and restore significant integrity across federal government, warriors. Where would you start to look at your jobs? The mom and pop organizations are going to get crushed, warriors. We are moving into zero carbon environment. Where would you invest? Where would you look at jobs? Okay. Next. Okay, the carbon footprint and Bitcoin. This is something that's important, warriors. Bitcoin is touted as an electric consumption adds up to 45.5 TWH. I don't know what that means. Maybe an electric person can tell me. The corresponding annual carbon emissions range from 22.0 to 22.9. The level sits between the levels produced by nations of Jordan and Syria, Lanka. Bitcoin is slow, it's clunky, it's high emissions, it takes a lot of energy. 90% of the mining is done in China. I'm not saying anything against Bitcoin, but understand, I'm a fundamental investor. I have a little bit of Bitcoin, but I also have it spread out across fundamental portfolios. And the coins that I'm looking at that are changing and solving these fundamental problems. Because remember, warriors, you're not going to beat the SEC. You're not. The GameStop video I did, you're not going to beat the SEC. You're not going to beat the government. You're not going to beat the central banks. You're not going to beat the commercial banks. But you can sure as hell invest in the infrastructure and bring the money back to the people and be part of the solve that they're trying to create, warriors. Okay? Now, VeChain. And there's only 2,000 people watching these videos. You're like 0.1% of the population that's actually interested in this. There's 4,000 people watching my videos. You're a tiny percentage of the population. It may seem big, but you are a true warrior in this modern day society. So VeChain, for companies interested in carbon reduction. VeChain is a digital ecosystem, is grounded breaking blockchain and IoT-powered carbon reduction platform which utilizes economic incentives to encourage both individuals and enterprises to participate in the reduction of carbon emissions. As consumers engage in low-carbon behaviors, say by purchasing low-carbon products, they earn carbon reduction credits which can be redeemed for benefits from other ecosystem partners such as retails. So basically, they allow businesses to come on board their system and they help them get into the zero-carbon game. That's what VeChain does, warriors. We're investing in the future. VeChain is going to be a massive long-term hold. Product safety, zero carbon, okay? You can break this down yourself, okay? So now if you look at this, you can break this down. This is on VeChain. They are a zero carbon. It creates advantages for companies, okay? Effective patent protection, sufficient patent applications guaranteed sustainable development for ecosystems, professional carbon reduction model, a secure, compliant smart contract. So this helps companies get on board with the reporting. Next, leading the way in global crypto and fintech sustainability. And let me ask you a question. Who's out there at Davos? Who's speaking to the bigwigs? Who's all over the news? Brad Garlinghouse. The world is in the midst of a global climate crisis, one of its most important that can't be ignored. To avert the worst case climate scenarios, the countries around the world committed to reach zero carbon by 2050. This is why today Ripple is pledging to achieve carbon net zero by 2030. We're also partnering with XRP Ledger Foundation, EnergyWeb, and Rocky Mountain Institute to decarbonize public blockchains, starting with XRP Ledger, through its use of the new open source EW0 tool. Additionally, Ripple is driving new research in leading industries that evaluate energy consumption across digital assets, credit card networks, and cash. They can help all these companies go zero carbon. VeChain can help all these companies go zero carbon. And what's going on right now? Davos, one of the biggest meetings in world history right now that happens every year. Davos is changing the way you do your finances. And who is a partner of the World Economic Forum? XRP, Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse, warriors. So warriors, when you know the game, you can't be played. I know this seems very confusing. I'm trying to make the complex simple and helping you understand the game. I'm giving you a little abreast of where you should look and start to fish so you can make informed decisions. If you want to be part of our top warrior community. Click over 500 warriors worldwide, 9 different countries. If you click the link down below, you can work out with us live daily, nutrition plan, subconscious mind programming around wealth, understanding economics, access to my portfolio. I'm not a financial advisor. It's not financial advice. I just show you exactly what I'm doing in the quantum financial system, cryptocurrency call every single week, and a Discord with over 400 warriors that are much smarter than me, and a technical analysis team. So warriors, we're going to get after it today. Click the link down below. Do me a favor, share this video, like, subscribe, comment, get the information out there so we can rise together, warriors. Warriors, rise.